This episode of the Offroad Podcast is sponsored by Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve.
Offroad Podcast, episode 370. Ben and Aaron go camping.
Separately. Jeremy, you're muted.
Sorry. Tonight, Aaron gets in hot water. Jeremy goes south for the winter if he were in Australia. And Ben drives a Jeep again.
Welcome to the Offroad Podcast, a podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. Your hosts tonight are Aaron. My name is Ben, and returning once again is our good buddy Jeremy. Welcome back, Jeremy. We've missed you. And welcome to the show.
It's good to be back. The weekend review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off.
Okay, Ben, last week when you were on the podcast, you look like a lobster. This week, you don't look like a lobster. What's going on?
I've stayed out of the sun.
Oh, I didn't know if maybe there was some fancy burn cream that you used in one of your first aid kits.
No. Fortunately, I've not gotten hurt. No one else has gotten hurt at home. It's amazing. It's America. It's a miracle in America.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. We've been saved. No. Last week, yes, I was super warm. I did use some aloe vera with some menthol in it because that stuff really helps. But I have been peeling.
Eric says you molted.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
yeah, I molted. My red dead portion is over there. So yeah. No, I've stayed good, hiding from the outside because it's so hot.
Yeah,
not really. Actually, I've gotten used to it. Like it's 80 something in my degree, 80 something right now, I think still, and I'm not sweating, and I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm just like, oh, whatever. I'm finally used to it, and it's turning into fall. So congratulations.
I'm sure our viewers appreciate that you wore clothes for this episode.
Yes, because that's what I love about winter is because during the summer, you can only take so much clothes off before the cops get called on you. And during the winter, you can just keep adding them on.
Yeah.
My mind went immediately to him about to say, because then you can run around in the naked when it's cold.
Yeah.
In the naked.
Well, I guess I should start this off because I'm sure someone's wondering, Ben drove a Jeep? Wasn't mine. It was my sister's. Hers was having problems. She's got...
How typical.
Yeah.
How typical. A Jeep having problems.
Because it's owned by an all read.
Not for much longer, but she is still an all read. So yeah. She's got the 4x4 light and the will pop on, and the traction control will pop on and go ding and then turn off just randomly while you're driving. It might ding 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 ding. And so she's getting ready to drive to Lake Chelan for the weekend, and she's like, can you help me fix this? And so I was trying to figure out what it was, couldn't figure out what it was. So I was like, here, go ahead and just take my 4Runner then. Have something reliable. She actually called me about 30 minutes later because my O2 sensor light popped on.
Yeah.
It threw a code after she got gas.
That might be the best financial decision she made. It's getting married, so that way she'll stop having all these car problems.
Yeah.
Changing your last name.
Yep.
Change your luck.
I'm not sure if that's how that works. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you drove a JK, huh?
Yep, it was all for maybe about an hour, and then I just parked it and I went about my life for the weekend. The kids are getting ready to go back to school this week because for some reason our school district thinks it's a great idea to go back to school on Thursday and Friday right before everyone leaves. Generally on Friday, I'm like,
so dumb.
right? I'm like, you realize how many kids are not gonna go to school on Friday? And my wife's like, go ahead and make them go, even though because we don't need to leave till the afternoon. It is a 2008, so it's the what is that? Is that a 3.8 or 6?
3.8.
Yeah, 3.8. It's an 08 two-door. That was what I really loved about it because she bought it just recently, like last year, and I drove it and it was like driving my old Jeep again when it was stock.
You know, there's a way to fix those 3.8s
Do a Hemi swap?
or an LF.
Yeah. Apparently Tim's not too fond of the 3.8.
Not many people are.
Nope.
Yeah,
Begs the question, why did you let her buy it?
She bought it before I knew.
yeah.
But she got a really good deal. And well, yeah, exactly. It's low miles for what it was. And I think she got it for a pretty good deal, like 10 or something like that.
Wait, all read low miles or normal people low miles?
Normal people low miles. Not my low miles. Speaking of which, I've almost doubled what my Forerunner for what I got it since I've got it. So let's see. Oh yes. And then so I'm getting ready to go camping again. We're going to the Ellensburg Rodeo and we're camping out there. So I'm getting ready for camping. So I've been getting ready for that. But then
is there not closer rodeos to go to?
It's one that our family's gone to, and it's a really fun one. Well, they're my wife's family, and like the kids, they go. That's the one they go to. It's the big one for them. I mean, this weekend was the Enumclaw Rodeo, which is right down the street from us. So, but Sunday,
your wife sure likes to have events and family things that are nowhere near your house. I mean, you guys send your kids to summer camp several states over.
yeah,
like nothing's close for you guys.
Nothing can be simple, and it's always
it's always your fault.
Yeah. But then on Sunday, I got a text from my sister. She brought something home. There is a rodeo in Roy. It is my dad's dune buggy.
Oh man,
it's in a little rough shape. It's been sitting for quite a few years.
You can say that again. Wow. That doesn't look anything like the Myers Manx that we shared last weekend.
Nothing like
last week.
So she's gonna start cleaning it. It needs a new belly pan.
Whose garage is that? Whose garage is that?
My sister's.
How come your garage doesn't look like that?
Because she's OCD cleaner and I'm not.
Send her over. Give her $20.
I'm actually gonna bring her over and have her help me clean.
Imagine if your garage looked like that, what you could get done.
Well, her garage is like twice as wide as mine too.
Still, it doesn't matter how big it is. It matters how you use the space.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how big it is. It's how you use it.
All right, enough of me. All right, on to Jeremy. Welcome back, buddy. We've missed you.
Yeah, I don't know where to go from that, but I spent the last few weeks in San Diego and got to go and visit the desert near San Diego. Unfortunately, not doing anything off-roading. Yeah, I wish I could have gone off-roading, but
that's a bummer.
Yeah,
you should have rented a company vehicle. Asked for the 4-wheel drive upgrade.
My company, the vehicle I got, the rental car I got was a Mazda CX-3.
That's off-road.
The X means it's all-wheel drive or something.
Something like that. Yeah, I probably could have
best
with the dunes, but
The best off-road vehicle is a rental. The fastest vehicle is a rental. I mean,
Oh yeah,
rentals are the best.
I definitely drove that thing as fast as I could everywhere I went.
Yeah.
It's California. They don't enforce laws there, anyways.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have to be speeding to necessarily drive fast, right? You just
Uh,
that's probably a moot point, but
Yeah. I don't know if you saw in the comments here, but Eric is pleading for Ben not to take the tires off of the dune buggy and use them for his rig.
oh no, I'm good. I've got great tires right now.
should just be because
Yeah, Ben in the comments here says X is for extreme disappointment, referring to the Mazda CX whatever, and you're probably very right.
yes, yeah. No, it was definitely just a crossover, I guess you would call it. It was probably a crossover, but it was like it's even a little bit lower than most crossovers.
It's probably like a tall wagon,
It's probably extremely
or
disappointing.
I should say a tall hatchback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about right.
Tall hatchback, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So you just went down to the desert, buried some bodies, and came home.
Yeah, pretty much. No, no, I ended up going golfing with her granddad, so that was good. But it'd have been nice if I could have gotten some more time off, so I could have tried to go off roading or something.
Tim wants to know, Jeremy, what PSI do you run your Pats at?
It depends. For like forest roads, I'm usually at like 12, but for crawling, I usually go down to about 7 is where I've found it best.
Hi, Shane.
Well, what I've been up to, if you don't have any more, Jeremy, is my truck is parked. It's leaking. I mentioned last week it's leaking power steering fluid, which is actually ATF in my truck. It's leaking it so fast that it's not safe to drive anywhere. And now all my focus is on my shop. I should have uploaded a photo. I got the
Got me grab it real quick.
sure, yeah. I got the roofing plywood on 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and then this past weekend I got some of the I had to replace a couple boards that were bowed, the ones that the gutters will attach to, so I replaced those. I installed the drip metal on the gutter ends, and then got all the felt down. So I'm ready for metal roofing. I'm not going to a rodeo out of state this weekend because I'm going to get the
It's in
roof on my
state.
shop.
Screw you.
It's on the other. It might as well be out of state. It's on the other side of the mountains.
It's not. Yes, it is. It is on the other side of the pass.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, there we go. There's that's part of the way done there in that picture. So, and yeah, there's a drone shot from up above. That's a cool drone shot because I caught a bird in that picture, which I didn't notice until after I was reviewing the footage. But yeah, so there's my shop in all its glory.
Man, that's some really wrinkled work up there. Really got to talk to that contractor about that.
Well, that's it's a paper felt or composite felt paper or whatever. So
Should be nice. No air bubbles. Come on.
yeah, it doesn't really have. I think that was just kind of from the wind blowing against it a little bit there. So
Sorry.
It's in Free Washington, not Comfy Washington.
that's very true. That's very true. Ellensburg is
and it would prefer to be in a different state if it was up to them, which I agree.
yeah, the state of liberty. Absolutely. Split it up. Split up Oregon too while they're at it.
Well, the funny part is if they just cut out like 3 cities out of the 2 states, it'd make it all free.
Yes, it really would. So yeah, so I've just been working on the shop. This, like I said, this coming weekend, Labor Day weekend, I will be roofing it. So got that all figured out. During the week this week, I'm gonna set out the metal roofing and pre-drill all the holes for it so that it is ready to just slap on the roof when I get there. So yeah.
Nice. Anyone helping you with it, or are you just going at it solo?
I've got at least one person that's gonna come help. But for the most part, I just plan to do it solo.
Yeah, they'd rather be enjoying barbecue and camping weekend, right?
Yeah. Jeremy, Tim wants to know what your on-road pressures are.
Yeah, I saw that. No, so I run them at 38 on road. Patagonia tells you to, or Milestar tells you to run them at whatever your standard street pressure is for your vehicle. But I found I liked mine a little bit better, a little bit more pumped up because I'm a little bit heavier.
Yeah, that would make total sense.
Yeah, I saw this comment too here about the 35, and mine I noticed mine are doing that a little too. I think I need to pump mine up above 32. And it's probably just because the way my vehicle's gone heavier too.
That's why I run mine at 45.
75.
They're rated for 80. They're load range E, rated for 80.
Sounds like you need to run them at 75.
Oh, with the way you drive, yeah, definitely need to be.
Yeah.
I'd like to. I actually don't think that would help him the way he drives. I think that would actually be counterproductive for the way he drives. He tends to drive
I
fast.
agree. It would make it too slippery.
Yeah. And it'd be a very firm ride.
Very firm.
For sure. We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month. Boom!
Patch of the month. I like it. Who doesn't like it? Jeremy, do you like it?
Of course I like it.
Yeah, you're going. Otherwise, Lady Liberty, they're going to give you a knuckle sandwich.
With some, oh, what are those called? Dang it.
Brass knuckles.
Knuckles. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to call them steel knuckles.
Yeah, brass knuckles of liberty, right there.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're copper knuckles because she's made out of copper.
Maybe, although those are definitely brassish because
Yes.
Or maybe it's all the gold from Fort Knox.
I think Ben was just trying to pretend to be Lady Liberty last week when he was slightly green.
Ooh,
yeah.
Good.
Well, so besides Lady Liberty, Ben, what else we got going on with patches?
Oh, we've got our patches. I actually got our patches, a couple of our orders sent out.
Yeah, do they look like this?
They look like that, and they glow in the dark. Well, the Lumen Locker one does, and the Offroad Podcast one is, awesome. Jeremy, do you have any of those?
I don't have any of those. I'm not cool enough for that.
No, you're not.
You're not. Definitely not cool enough. I'll have to see you soon.
You have to come eat freeze dried food to get free patches.
Sounds like a plan. How about you guys come up and eat freeze dried food?
How about we meet at Rick's house?
How about we make ribs?
How we do what?
Make ribs.
Make
Smoke.
ribs at Rick's house?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, well, we'll reach out to Rick and have him buy some ribs and smoke them for us, and we'll show up to eat them. But they need to be pork. They need to be baby back pork ribs, though. I'm getting tired of beef ribs.
That's the only way to go. Baby back pork.
Well, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a recession going on right now, and so people are cheaping out and buying beef ribs.
Yeah, but they're just not the same.
That's what I'm talking about.
but they're not the same.
Yeah. User says that there needs to be a Iron Man 4x4 Bubba patch. Is that Bubba?
I guess so.
I'm guessing it's Bubba. But yeah, those patches are available. $13 shipped for the first one, 10 for any additional, or 10 picked up from us in person. But I must say that is shipping in the United States, because one of our listeners ordered from Canada. They got their patches sent to them, but that was a little expensive, and
It was a lot expensive.
a lot of expensive, like it cost
Yeah.
me negative money. So
Yeah, we went in the hole on that sale. So yeah, lesson learned.
lesson learned, but I wasn't gonna deprive someone after they had ordered them already. So if
Yeah.
you are from another country and want us to send you patches, I will, but I'll charge you 10 per patch, and then we'll figure out shipping, and I'll let you know when it happens. Because if you want them, I will help you. Stu, that about ends that. Except for how awesome those patches are. I'm just saying, I love them.
Super awesome.
Super awesome.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
Well, this first story here is from Fox News. And you've been hearing about, companies trying to reinvent the wheel and everything. Well, Jeep just passed that. They have gone to reinventing the windshield wiper. So they've released this windshield wiper here. If you look at this picture here, if you're watching, you'll see a little squirts come out of it. And it's a called the Clean Sweep. It's an accessory kit available from the Mopar part catalog. Works on the JKs and JT platforms. And I mentioned the JL platforms as well. To include new wiper arms, blades with 12 laser cut holes that spray washer fluid as they sweep across your windshield washer. Traditional nozzles deactivated, and the fluid is rerouted through the blades that come through the tubing. It's priced at $140, and I've actually got a video here, about 6 inches, of how it works. And that's pretty handy. Like I don't hate it. It's $140 for a set, but it doesn't say how much additional blades are going to cost, which could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, so they specifically say that additional blade pricing has not been released, and which makes me think, and it's hard to tell by looking at it, but it looks like it sprays through the blades themselves. So it's not like you go to AutoZone and buy new blades. I mean, you can, but then you'd lose this function. So I think these are going to be very proprietary wiper blades that I can imagine aren't very cheap.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility that it could spray out of the what's it called, the plastic part above it, and you can still replace the rubber part.
Yeah, but I mean, how many blades do you know of that you can just replace the rubber part?
Yeah, they don't just slip apart. I mean, unless maybe that's what Jeep is developing, is just the rubber part rather than the whole arm. You replace just the
Potentially, and
rubber. I don't know.
And that could make it a little bit cheaper. But I mean, if they have
Yeah.
laser cut every single wiper blade set, like that's going to get expensive quick.
Yeah.
But they look like they're really effective.
Yeah, but also it looks like it just dumps washer fluid.
Yes.
It's they're in bed with big washer fluid companies.
The washer fluid tank reservoir isn't that big on the Jeeps.
Yeah, I think my Forerunner is like a gallon, and I think my Jeep's was only like a half gallon because I was
Oh
always
man.
replacing it. But where I really like this is the like if you have like one of the hood mounted high lift jacks, you don't have to worry about how it's positioned so that it's not getting sprayed with windshield wiper fluid. Because
That's true.
Just don't get the windshield or the hood mounted ones.
Yeah,
That's a good place for them, though.
I know some people like them. I don't care for them much.
Yeah.
that was one of the few options when I had it versus throwing it inside. And then on a 2-door with how limited I was on space.
Well, I'm not saying I like the inside mount ones either.
No, I like Bolt's kit that they have now that's by the door
I
or
like that.
bumper mounted.
The one by the door, I would always be worried about leaning it into a tree and then denting the panel right there.
Oh, that's a good point. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bumper is the best spot, right?
That's where I like it, but to each their own. I think the second best place is the hood mounted. Personally,
Welcome to the show, Gunmetal Guy. Glad you made it tonight.
All right. And Aaron, you want to take this next story?
Yeah, let's talk about the GMC Canyon. So we talked a few weeks ago about the Chevy Colorado and how it's only going to come in a 4-door and a short bed. It had only... What's that?
I said, isn't that the same truck?
It basically is, yeah. But the Colorado had yeah, we can see you now, Bubba. The Colorado only had one engine option, but it had 3 different horsepower levels for that engine option. Well, the GMC Canyon is simplifying things even more. It also only comes in the crew cab short bed. It's got standard LED lighting all the way around, including some fender markers that aren't on the Colorado. It will only come in the wide track option, which is only on the Z71 and Trail Boss. So already the Canyon is going to be kind of souped up with some of that stuff. The suspension on the Canyons, because of that, is also going to be lifted 2 inches over the base Colorados, or 3 inches if you have the AT4X package. So the base trim for the Canyon is the elevation, and it has 9.6 inches of ground clearance, as does the AT4. The Denali, which is the next one up, has 10.5 inches of ground clearance, and then the AT4X has 10.6 inches of ground clearance. So that's pretty good for a mid-size truck. They all come standard with 32-inch tires, unless you get the bigger, better, badder packages, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The tailgate, Ben, have you showed that picture yet? The tailgate's got a really cool built-in storage, which is super handy. I think that's awesome. The dry storage there. It looks like it's got a gasket all the way around it. Gunmetal Guy is asking if we have a link to order the patch. We don't have a link. You just have to email us, offroadpodcast@gmail.com, and we can set you up with our PayPal. Or if you just go to PayPal and use offroadpodcast@gmail.com to send the money to us, you can do it that way. So anyways, really cool storage in the tailgate. Also, I noticed on the very back of the tailgate, there's a whole bunch of numbers. It looks like a ruler, but it just doesn't look like it's in inches. So I don't know exactly what measurement that is. So
what I want to know is, where are they going with all those beads?
Those are bungee cords.
Oh, are those bungee cords? Oh, it looks like
that's funny.
That looks like the Harbor Freight bungee cord kit that you can buy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Someone staged this photo for General Motors, and they're like, let's put stuff in there that off-roady people would have. There's an old school canteen in there with a canteen cover. bungee cords. There's a cooler in the back, and it looks like a fishing kit with a bobber hanging out of it. I don't know anybody that uses bobbers like that.
And a blanket.
So
You're
I
gonna
use bobbers like that.
if you take it off road.
yeah. So I don't know. It's just kind of funny. Let's see here. So yeah, tailgate's got the built-in storage. There's no front air dam on it, which gives it better approach angle. It only has one engine option, which is the highest for the Colorado engine option, 310 horsepower, 430 foot-pounds of torque. That's again, it comes out of a 2.7 inline four turbo attached to an 8-speed automatic. The Denali has real wood trim with laser etching inside, which is, I think it's pretty fancy looking. It has a 11-inch instrument display, it says, and then it says that it has a 11.3-inch infotainment screen, and it has heads-up display. So a lot of people don't really care about the stuff I'm talking about right here, where you got your displays and all that stuff. But what I'm excited about is this heads-up display. I want to know, and we don't know yet, does it give you some cool stuff like your angle that you're tilting? I'm sure it shows your miles per hour and things like that, but it'd be neat if it had some off-road features that it would throw up on the screen in front of you. Or I don't know if it's even detailed enough. If it could throw up like navigation on your heads-up display.
Turn left in 300 feet.
Yeah. Something like that. That'd be kind of neat. So anyways, yeah, heads-up display. When you get the biggest and baddest off-road version, the AT4X, you don't get the wood, but you get a lot of black and white interior with bright red accents. I don't know if I like that as much, but to each their own. The screens have are connected to some cameras. There's one right there underneath the truck. 10 different camera views. It has HD surround vision, which is just one of those things where it stitches all the cameras together so you can look on your screen and see what's around you. I've not used that off-roading ever, but I've used it in my wife's truck, and it's
trucks for like backing up into
Yep.
narrow spots.
It's pretty amazing for backing into tight spots or backing around a rock wall or things like that we have on our property. So, and then the underbody camera shown here even has a little squirter system, so it rinses the camera off underneath, which is pretty neat.
What I like about it is you notice the little guard that it has over it. So if that gets damaged or scratched, you can replace that instead of having to replace the whole camera. That's what it looks like. I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It does look like a just a protective plexiglass or Lexan cover or something like that. So they come with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. That's kind of interesting because there's some like Gaia and OnX, I believe, interface with those systems. So that's kind of a neat thing. The AT4X gets all the same opportunities as the R2, which is the latest generation multimatic dynamic spool valve, shocks, or I should say frequency selective dampers.
You're roboting again.
You need front fascia. Oh no. Am I still a robot?
Yeah. I'll wrap it up. Recapping what he just said is the AT4X. It gets all the same off-road goodies as the ZR2. It gets the latest generation of the Multimax dynamic spool valve DSSV frequency selective dampeners, which I've got a picture up right here. And unique front fascia aluminum skid plate, which looking at that skid plate, it does look beefier. Below the radiator, engine oil pan, and a transfer case, steel rock rails, front and rear locking differentials, which we covered on the GM version, the Chevy version that beefs up the front diff and the CV axle, so it's a little stronger. 33-inch tires and Baja drive mode, which I imagine helps loosen up the suspension a little bit. but while dampening it so that you can get a little more softer suspension while you're hitting at speed. I imagine that's what they mean by Baja. Could be wrong. There's also a special edition one model, which brings even more to the table. It features 17-inch beadlock capable wheels, front safari bar with 30-inch off-road light bar, a come-up winch, should have been a worn, upgraded skid plate, bed rails, and special badging. Which, if here's that bed rail, which is pretty cool. I think that basically sets you up for like you should be able to throw up a tent, if I'm correct.
I would agree with that. I would think that it would be strong enough to support that weight.
And then and the base Canyon starts around 40,000, and the ATX 4 starts at 63,350. Whew.
That's a
Car
lot of
price.
dough. It's a lot of dough, but it offers, I mean, it's turnkey overland, mild wheeling, everything. I mean, it's ready. It's got lockers. It's already got 33s on it. It's got skid plates. It's got fancy shocks,
It's
beadlock wheels, light bar.
it's just a lot to take in. Like, is right off the bat, like, boom, here you go. That's gonna cost you $63,000,
And it's brand new.
and it's brand new.
It's got a ton of horsepower and torque. I mean, 310 horsepower is just a little bit above what everybody's doing, but 430 foot-pounds of torque is that's a grip.
Yeah. I don't know. I still have a hard time swallowing that over 50,000 for a vehicle right now.
No,
And
I hear you. I want to talk about the front end of this truck just a little bit. It mentions the safari bar, and I was a little worried when I was reading the article until I saw this picture. It's not the typical
Like the
bull
West.
bar. Yes, the Wesson bull bar that people put on that hangs lower than the front end, and it takes away from your approach angle. This is the way it should be done.
it looks like
Um,
it might actually protect against an impact a little better than like the Wesson ones and all that.
well, the Wesson ones don't protect against anything
No, they're damage
like
modifiers. They do more damage.
like vegetation, like driving through a wheat field or something. I mean, it's not going to. They just don't do anything.
Yeah,
They
I
give you a
think
place to hang. They give you a place to hang some lights, and that's it.
yeah. This one actually looks like it. Not being in person and touching it, it looks like it might actually be able to like catch something from going through your radiator if you were to hit it.
Yeah, possibly. I I mean, I would be ecstatic if I bought an off-road truck and didn't have to put an off-road bumper on it to add a little bit of protection, to add a place to mount some lights, and lastly to mount a winch. This comes from the factory already with that. I mean, I paid $1,100 for my front bumper when I
Yeah.
bought it, and that
No.
doesn't include. It didn't include fog lights. It didn't include a light bar. It didn't include a winch. So
Yeah, it definitely looks pretty
there's
turnkey.
definitely some value when you add all those.
My only concern is what about the front recovery hooks? Are they hooks or
There was a picture of it. It looked like
uh,
it was a loop.
are they closed?
Yeah, it looks closed.
Oh, they are closed. All right, they have redeemed themselves. I like it. And those skid plates actually do, like we talked about this when we first were reading about it. Beefier skid plates. Those actually do look to be a bit beefier than your standard stock skid plates that you see that I folded over on my Toyota. Well, should we get to the main topic?
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
All right. So this week, Aaron and I figured we'd recap our camping trips versus doing it last week with Amy because there's quite a bit that Aaron went through, and I actually experienced some new gear and stuff. Figured it'd be cool to talk about that and how miserable it was with the heat. So I guess I'll start off with the I borrowed an ARB fridge freezer from our good friend John Matthews. And that was interesting. It was a test. I borrowed it so that the wife could use one and see if it was like a game changer for her, like if it was worth purchasing. And I battled my battery box a little bit, and it wasn't so much my battery box I battled, it was the lack of sun, and I didn't pre-cool all my stuff before we left, so getting it up to temp kind of sucked. But after that, it went pretty smoothly. And this is really weird talking by myself. Oh, it looks like Aaron lost his service. All right. Also, I used a I finished up my battery box, so I upgraded it to from the 2 batteries to the 4 batteries, where I had been alternating the batteries, pulling them out of the old system. Now it's just one continuous set. I added a solar panel, which it worked great, kept us cool. We used the mostly use that to keep the fridge going, and then we used it for the fan in the trailer, because the first night we got there it was 103 degrees and miserable. We went swimming at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and it was I want to say 97 degrees that night at its point. Yeah, it was miserable. I covered myself in a towel, a wet towel, and with the fan, the exhaust fan on the trailer, pulling the air out with the windows popped open so that it was like blowing across the towel to keep me cool. And that's how I slept. And you can only take so many clothes off. That's how hot it was. I mean, like I was down to just shorts and laying in the trailer, no blankets, just a wet towel on me, like a beach
How
wet.
how many people were in the trailer with you?
Just Sarah and I, and then my my middle son. Grandma told a scary story that wasn't quite scary, but scary enough for him that he decided that he needed to sleep with us instead of over there in their trailer, because they've got the a pop-up tent trailer
Okay.
where they all would have been nice and spread out. So he was sleeping in between us, which we have a king size bed in the teardrop. So, I mean, there's space in between us. It was like, don't touch me. But then halfway through the night, or after a little while, I was covering him up with the wet towel too, because he was hot too.
Yeah.
Let's see. But the battery box did good. My only problem was, while it was hot, it was also cloudy, and I was pretty well shaded where I was, so I wasn't getting a ton of sun during the day. I was recovering a decent amount of the battery levels, but by the third day, we were there 5 days. By the third day, I'd killed my battery, and so I had to. Fortunately enough, I had my Jackery, so I ran the fridge off the Jackery while I was running around with the solar panels and the battery box, placing it in the sun to get it charged back up. Which is, it's kind of frustrating. It's like, you build a setup so that you can just put it out and be done with it, and instead I'm like chasing around trying to find sun.
You need a way to charge that from your vehicle, so maybe you can just start your car and let your car I say in an emergency or whatever,
Oh
but
no,
be able to charge it.
I completely agree. And the annoying thing is with my charge controller, it needs 18 volt. It needs 5 volts over battery. So what's it need? It needs 17 volts of solar power to get it charging. So I need to find out if I need to just get a different charge controller that can charge from my vehicle, or find some way to charge my battery that way. Because it was kind of frustrating not being able to do that. And I
Yeah.
don't know the Google lingo that I need to use for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was looking into that. I found an inverter, or not it's like a shore power box. Where it's like $70 for the box, and you can plug it into power, and it puts out your outputted power you need. It's like a portable 120 volt converter to a battery, a transformer, I think is what they would call it. I don't know. That I'm gonna get for the trailer, for because we're going back there next year for camping for like a week with our friends again and family, and so but we're getting powered site. So I was like, well, if I can just plug it in and call it good, I don't have to worry about solar or any of that. So that's one of the upgrades the trailer is getting, like the ability to use shore power. Because I mean, why not have the option if it's not
Mm-hmm.
that complicated?
Yeah.
Because all I need is, I think the wife is sold on the fridge, not 100% because I was battling the power. Oh, so DC to DC charger. All right, Travis, I like that. I will look into that more. A DC to DC charger. We'll do car and solar charging. So that's what I need. I saw those when I was looking up what I was trying to figure out how to do. So she wasn't 100% sold on the ARB fridge because I was battling my solar box. I'm like, well, that's not really, the problem. It was me trying to make sure that I was getting everything set up properly. Because when it was working great, it was working great. It wasn't my power system, or it wasn't the fridge that was the problem. And this was an older fridge, like the blue and gray round ones,
Mm-hmm.
which I think use a little bit more wattage than the newer ones. Which Matthews is getting one of those here soon. That I'll be able to pick up on a deal. And there's also like the Alpi cool ones that I've been considering that are on Amazon, and I think they're like $300-$400 for one of those.
Yeah, they're way cheaper. The only thing I would check is how much amperage do they draw versus the ARB, because the ARB, the reason why I bought it when I bought mine was because it was the lowest amperage draw out of all of them.
Yeah, well, and what I like about it is if I have a problem with the ARB fridge one, is ARB is right there in Renton. And if I need a part, even if I'm buying one that's, like one of their return ones, no warranty, I can still get parts from them.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because ARB is a great company.
Yeah, I think so too.
But the trailer did good. Like our friend Dennis is talking about he's been looking at different trailer options, and he was just talking to me the other day about my teardrop. So but we spent lots of time at the lake. One day we did go do a little hike up to some caves. They were not what I was expecting for caves. They weren't very deep at all. And I think it's because we only found 2 of them. Jeremy, can't hear you, buddy.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
I was going to say most caves aren't that deep.
Well, I mean, this was like a little nook in the wall that was dark compared to the sun blasted outside portion.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like the laser caves we went to a couple years ago on our way back
Not
from
even
snow
as
camping?
deep as the laser caves.
Oh wow, because those are pretty shallow.
Yeah, they were a whole lot shallower than that. Um, and there was one spot where it could have been deeper. And I think bats were down in that portion, but we didn't hike up to that one because it was a little bit more of a hike.
Were you trying to find bats?
No, I saw guano on the ground. But yeah, it was really hot, like stupid hot. The next day my dog was limping because of of how much hiking we did, and we counted how old she was, like, time kind of flies, and if you're not counting birthdays and they're telling you, she's 10 now. Like, we got her when she was like 5 or 6, and she's like 9 or 10 now, and it was like, "Oh, you poor old girl, no wonder you're limping today from all that hiking and climbing up the
Yeah.
rocks and all that." It's like, "Oh, we need to take it a little easier on you and get you some vitamins for your muscles and bones."
Or you just need to do it more and work her up to it.
That is true. She's definitely gotten a lot fatter living with me. Because her previous owner was like a runner and all that. Like they would take her running with her and all that. Versus I don't go running. I take her for walks, and she takes herself for walks because she gets out the front door, and she'll go walk around the neighborhood, and then she comes home, sits on the porch, and when she hears you're in the living room, she goes woof. Just once, just woof.
Yep.
And you hear her on the other side of the door, and you go open it, and like, how did you get out? You snuck out when I went outside an hour ago. She's very sneaky. And then I got one of those Costco lily pads. It was like $350-$400. It's 30 by 6, 30 feet by 6 inches wide, and it's like 2-inch thick foam that floats on the water. And we took it out in the lake, and the boys were like jumping off of it into the water. I went up to the water where it was like chest high. Great investment for if you're going to be on the water a lot, not so much if you're not going to the water regularly. But it was fun for the kids. And then our friends brought their paddle.
You know what else is fun for the kids?
Huh.
A rear locker in your 4Runner.
Yeah, that regearing so you get better
Regearing. I mean, yeah, that's just, I don't know. So instead of spending money on a piece of styrofoam that's bad for the earth, you should have bought some truck parts that are awesome for the earth.
I've been trying to get that locker so hard myself.
I know, man.
I went paddle boarding for the first time. Oh, we talked about this a little bit last time. Yeah, fat man, high center of gravity, narrow paddleboard, not so great. I did stand up for about 2 seconds and fell over. But great core workout, really good core workout.
I imagine.
It was fun. Like I was so winded trying to get back up afterwards. Just like, oh my goodness, it was fun though. We're actually talking about getting paddle boards because the boys loved them so much, and like the Amazon inflatable ones aren't all that expensive.
I think we needed a video of that. And Plan versus
I know.
watching Ben fall over was great.
It's on I think it's on my Facebook, my personal one.
I saw pictures. I just never saw any video.
Oh, I'll have to share it with you guys later.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that was what we did. It was a fun family trip. It was essentially glamping because it was state park, but it was primitive sites. So we had no hookups, but we had, what I really liked about the state park though, is it was like a 40-foot long site. So we were able to fit our tent trailer, or the grandparents' tent trailer, our vehicles, and my teardrop, and plenty of other space to do stuff. Like we had the gazelle gazebo up for shade during the day, though we didn't really need it because of the trees. But we had plenty of room for everything. So really big sites, and then their power sites they have that they just renovated that spot up above are really nice and clean, really good looking. So, which is I think where we're going to be next year.
Cool. That's good.
Well, what about you, Aaron?
So every year our family does a family camp out. So not just like when I say family, my wife, me, and my kids, but like my mom and her husband and his son and daughter-in-law, my sister, her husband, and their kids. And so like I guess that's extended family or whatever. But so and they like to go to Central Oregon where it's nice and warm, and there's some really nice lakes up there that the water stays shallow for a really long ways, so it's great for kids to play in because it doesn't just drop off. They could just go play and play and play and goof around in the water. So
That's what I liked
it's
about Sun Lakes is that's how it was there. Like I was out 20, 30 feet and it was only up to my chest. Like you had to
oh
walk.
this you'd had to probably go 150 yards to get up to your chest at
That's
this
awesome.
lake. Yeah. Like my son brought a snorkel mask, and my son and daughter both brought snorkel masks, and they're out there just snorkeling their brains out in like 2 feet of water and just having a good time. So
You don't like to look at it in 2 feet of water.
when you're a kid, it's everything.
You're just
Yeah,
stoked you can look underwater.
exactly. I could never look underwater as a kid.
Yeah.
It's the- yeah, they hadn't invented that stuff yet. Um,
Yes.
let's see here. Yeah, so the lake is a pretty nice lake. The campsites we got were at the very end of like this wind where the wind would blow across the lake, and the wind would in the afternoon would blow right on us. So that wasn't very fun. We chose different campsite this year because we struggled getting the ones that we always try to get. But it is what it is. There were some fires out in the area that we were at, so every day the smoke would kind of blow in and settle and then lift. So the couple photos I have, you can actually see, like here, this picture of the lake. You can see how hazy it is with the drone photo there. So, um, my mom brought a pinata. She brings a pinata every year when we go camping, so that's always fun. So the kids get to take turns whacking the pinata, and the candy stays on the ground until the pinata is completely done. Then they release the kids with bags to go collect the candy. So that's always a fun thing. But um, the smoke would clear up at nighttime also, so it got some really beautiful sunsets. Anyways, about gear. Um, in the tonight, we mentioned that Aaron's in hot water. I bought a Camp Lux water heater off of Amazon on the Prime days like a year ago, and it's just sat in a box in the corner. I've never had the opportunity to touch it. So I brought that with me this year, and I'm glad I opened it before I went because there's some stuff you got to know when you buy one of these things. So I knew that it needed 2 double D batteries, and then I assumed it needed power to run the pump because the one I bought came with the water pump also. And I pulled the pump out, and it's just got 2 wires with bare ends sticking off of it. It's just 2 wires. They don't go to alligator clips. They don't go to a cigarette plug
No leads
or
or anything.
anything. It's just that was it. It had like 6 inches of wire, 2 of them, a positive and a negative. That was it. So, and that was the day before we left. I opened it up and looked. So luckily I had a solution, and I threw it together, and it was very temporary because when we got home and I was taking it apart, it broke. So it worked while we were there. But yeah, I put one of a cigarette lighter, 12-volt cigarette lighter things. Eric, did I say double D batteries or did I just say D batteries? I don't know.
Double D battery.
Yeah.
Well, double D. I mean, it took 2 D batteries. Sorry guys, not trying to be.
There's an old comedian or not an old comedian, but there's a comedic bit where he was talking about, I'm looking for D batteries. And they're like, oh, yes, all the batteries are over there. but I need D batteries.
Oh, D batteries,
Yeah.
like with a Jamaican accent.
Yes.
Yeah. Um. So, anyways, this Camp Lux water heater. Everybody in the overlanding world is running these things on their rigs. I've never heard anybody talk trash about them, but I gotta say, this thing is super, super cheap in the quality. The sheet metal that wraps around it is super thin. It's got like some brass fittings on the bottom of it, but you can't connect your hose to those because they're not the right whatever. So there's a plastic adapter that goes between the hose and the brass, and this plastic adapter is so chintzy. It was cross-threading by hand as I was trying to put it on. In fact, it even leaked because of that. So pretty chintzy. I'm going to see if I can find something at a hardware store that is actual brass to jump between those two fitting styles. So pretty cheap plastic fittings. And because that metal is so thin, what I see people doing in the overland world is they put them in like a Pelican style case, and I'll just be doing that with mine too. I'll get one from Harbor Freight because you can't not do that. I I brought mine in the cardboard box, which was packed in styrofoam, and I'm glad I did because I was able to pack it back up and bring it home. If I would have just put that in the back of an SUV or back of a car or pickup truck with the other camping gear, I bet you would have been broken by the time I got home, stuff like that. So you got to protect it. Yeah. And then the lead from the pump, I should say from the water heater to the pump and then to your water source isn't very long. It looks longer in the pictures. So if you were going to suck water directly out of a river with the pump, you would be doing all of your hot water usage right at that river. So you're going to want to bring a 5-gallon bucket or something to suck the water out of it. So, and it didn't come with a pre-filter either. There was a filter on the pump, a little wire screen, but I would kind of expected there to be a pre-filter for the hose. It was literally just a plasticky, rubbery, silicone hose that you just throw in the bucket. So
This
kind of chintzy.
reminds me of kind of like the Chinese
Diesel
diesel,
heaters.
how like
Yeah.
you find all these upgrades that you need to do. Like it's nothing against the product. The product works, but to get it to work to a level that we would expect, you have to upgrade it, which is kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate, but makes sense at the same time.
Yeah. So my wife used it to wash her hair. My mom washed her feet every night before she went to bed with it. We used it on our kids for cleaning them up for something. I can't remember what, but the couple times that I used it, it just has two knobs. One is for the flow of water, and one is for how hot you want the water. And it was really inconsistent also. And it's weird that it'd be inconsistent because it's propane fired, and you'd think that once water's flowing, it's just going to be consistent because it's going to suck water at a consistent speed. It's going to have burners at a consistent heat, but like temperature would just go kind of fluctuate up and down sometimes, and it would fluctuate high enough that I was concerned for my kids, um, like having it scald them, not like burn them, but be hot enough that it would probably leave some red marks on their hands. So I was really cautious when I let my kids use it. So I just need to play with it more, see if I can figure that out. When my wife was washing her hair, it got really hot on her, and she said she had the temperature turned all the way down to the lowest setting. So I told her to turn the volume up so that maybe more water would rush through and it wouldn't be able to heat it as hot. So I don't know. I just need to play with it some. I'm sure there's just like the Chinese diesel heaters, there's probably a Camp Lux water heater group on Facebook that I could join and learn some stuff. So as far as the solar stuff, I've got a couple different solar panels. I've got two from Harbor Freight with a Harbor Freight controller. It might not be a Harbor Freight controller, but it is probably the cheapest controller on the market. And I inherited those. Those were given to me. And then I also have a folding panel that's like it's probably like 12 different small panels stitched to cloth. Actually, I got it right here.
That's the one you picked up. What was it, like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
On the Prime
Prime.
Days. Yeah, Prime something.
Yeah. So it's this guy right here. It says all powers solar charger. It's 100 watt. It folds up. You can see how thick it is. It's probably 3.5 inches thick. And it has a built-in charge controller, which isn't very much going on with that thing. It has an output. It has a couple of USB ports. Let's see if I can show that there. Not very well. 2 USB ports. And then it also has a spot that you can connect multiple panels together in parallel, which is pretty neat. I think you can only connect 2 in parallel, but it's neat that you could put 2 of them together. So you could have 200 watts. This thing is pretty much the bomb. It did an amazing job charging my Jackery knockoff. And that's another thing. I was using my Jackery knockoff to charge the drone while the Jackery knockoff was being charged. It was nice to know that I can use my solar generator to charge something while it is being charged by the sun. So that was neat.
That's one thing I love about like my Jackery and my solar station that I built is the ability to be able to use it while it's being charged versus in the past some of the things like you couldn't use it at the same time as it was being charged. It wouldn't allow you to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as long as you're not using too much power, it'll actually charge up. There were some points where like my fridge was in the sun and it would be on, so it was using a higher wattage and it wasn't getting as much sun as it was. It wasn't inputting enough power to what it was losing. So the battery's still going down, but at a much slower rate.
Yep, for sure. So back to my Harbor Freight setup. Those solar panels are whatever type of panel where if a little bit of it is blocked, none of the solar panel works. So I had to manage those panels a lot more. I had to keep them in the sun a whole lot more just to keep the battery in our trailer charged up. So we were also dry camping. We brought our 26-foot camp trailer. And I want to make sure that the battery didn't die in the camp trailer. And so I just had the solar going every day to keep it going. So I should have put the trailer battery on a charger before I left because it was probably right around 12 volts when we left to go camping rather than 13.5 or something higher. So I kind of started off with a deficiency there. And I don't want to say it was a struggle keeping it up, but where it was parked, I also had to fight a lot of shade, and the sun would move fast enough that if you weren't out there managing your stupid panels, you would not get a very good charge on the battery. Whereas that this foldable one, I could put that anywhere in full sun and just lay it out on a picnic table or on the back of the truck and have the Jackery knockoff Jackery thing with it and charge it anywhere. Whereas my trailer battery is hooked up to the trailer and the leads from my solar stuff is only so long. So that was kind of a pain in the neck to deal with, but we got through. And if anybody's wondering, I think I mentioned this before, but I still get about 10 miles a gallon when I'm towing that 26-foot trailer. And that is, I drive it on country roads to get to the freeway, drive on the freeway for a little bit, and then I'm going up and over mountain passes all the way to the outskirts of Bend, and then the same thing up and over mountain passes back home. So there's quite a bit of elevation to gain while I'm towing. If I just was able to transport magically to Kansas and drive for 5 hours in Kansas towing that trailer, I would probably get 13 miles a gallon, but we got some elevation here in the Pacific Northwest, so it definitely affects your rig whether you're towing or not.
Yeah,
I'm sure you experienced that too because you had to go up over the same mountain passes.
Oh yeah, no, it's and the Forerunner's not any better in fuel economy. I think I get 12 on a good day.
Yeah. Yep.
But it is
So
what it is. It's why I own it, right?
yeah, it's not for super commuting.
That's why I have the Camry.
Yeah. And then the very last night we were there, we were sitting around the campfire, um, just talking about anything and everything. And all of a sudden, my sister's like, "What's that in the sky?" And there's just this like bunch of white dots in a line just zooming across the sky. And I'm like, "Oh, that's Starlink." And everybody's like, "That's Starlink?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a Starlink." So no one had ever seen them before. I've seen them once before. I think it was out on my property that I saw them. I can't remember if it was there or where I saw them, but it was kind of cool. So they had apparently launched some Starlink satellites that weekend, and we got to see them in low Earth orbit, just tracking along, zipping along. So pretty
Yeah,
neat.
I've yet to see one of the Starlink trains go by. They're pretty cool from what I've seen of video and pictures, though.
Yeah.
You can. There's a website called findstarlink.com. You can find when they're going to be visible for you.
Ah,
Oh,
that
cool.
makes sense. That makes sense. So, anyways, overall, it was a good camping trip. Not my normal go-to for camping. You guys know I talk about going out deep in the woods, and that's why I built my off-road trailer, and I like to get away from people. It was actually a pretty chill campground. We didn't have any issues with any neighbors, although one night there was a baby crying, but the baby stopped crying before 10 o'clock when it's quiet time, and so didn't have to call the cops on the baby.
Oh, but if that baby cried at 10:01,
Oh man, cops! I had the sheriff on speed dial. I was getting ready for it.
driven back to town just to get enough cell service.
Exactly.
Karen?
Aaron.
No.
Aaron. Yeah. No, I mean, kids will be kids, especially babies, and it's. I assume it's tough taking babies camping because we never took our really young kids camping.
Oh, man.
I assume it's tough, especially if they're not used to doing it very often. That it messes with sleep schedules and everything else. So
Our biggest problem was trying to keep them out of the fire. The first time we took Lewis camping, it was the first time we'd gone camping in a couple years. That kid just wanted to be in the fire pit because he wanted to play over there, or it was the road, or it's like, dude, just can you stay put in a seat? No, you're one. You don't want to do that. You want to walk and explore. So
yeah. Yeah.
it's
Well, anyways, that was my camping trip. I don't have any more planned for the next month or so until we go to Christmas Valley coming up at the end of.
that's like 3 weeks away, my friend, isn't it?
I think you're bad with
Oh no,
bad
that is month.
bad
Okay,
days.
yeah. So it's it was like every 2 weeks I've got something going on right now. What the wife and I were just talking about it.
They would
'Cause-
get 3 weeks from.
It's technically 4.5 weeks away.
So I leave for the rodeo, and then I got something going on the weekend of the 17th, and then we've got the roundup.
You spraying weeds?
No, whatever it is, the circle the wagons. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Also bring up a weed killer to that one. So
Yeah.
But
Is
so
that
far,
is that the alcohol he brings? The
That
weed
is-
killer?
weed killer. There we go.
no, I think he brings alcohol infused with weed, like that tequila.
Oof.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So-
was tequila.
Yeah, that was terrible tequila. Speaking of which, I am. Should I bring some of my rum the next time we go camping?
Probably not. Does your wife let you drink while you camp?
Yes, she does.
Oh, okay.
She's
All right.
like really annoying.
She what?
She just complains I get really annoying.
Oh.
Well, that's her
Gotcha.
problem.
Well, we just wanted to thank everybody who listens to us weekly and also those who watch us live on YouTube. We really appreciate you. Please share us with your friends. That's what really helps us grow. And before we sign off, God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve to see all their great gear. We're a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a comment or question? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.net or through our social media channels by searching for Offroad Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe, and courteous. Thanks for listening.